Hey guys, thanks for joining us for week 4 of the Carla and Crappy show. I'm Uncle Crappy. I'm up here in Pittsburgh. That's Carla down there in Nashville. Say hi, Carla.
Hi. How are you?
How you doing? I'm doing great tonight. How are you?
Great.
You
Especially with this.
You have a cupcake in your hand.
I do have a cupcake.
I have a cupcake too, by the way.
Huh.
Carla and I are celebrating the end of college football's cupcake season. We are done with 1AA schools, and we're done with Sun Belt Conference, and we're ready to get into the really good stuff, as evidenced by the games we're going to pick this week. Before we get to those, Carla, please recap us on how we did last week.
Gladly. The frosting on that cupcake's really good, by the way. I will happily recap because I had a stellar week last week, as evidenced by my 4-2 finish, and I nearly went 6-0. As your Ohio State Buckeyes struggled just a little bit against Michigan State. Actually, it was a very good football game. And
that doesn't count as nearly.
Okay. It was a good football game. They did win.
Yes.
And Baylor gave West Virginia a heck of a run, and had they pulled that out, I would have gone 6-0.
That game was nuts.
It was nuts. If you saw, I sat in the drive-through and literally listened to 21 points in a drive-through. It was fabulous.
We have games that may not we quite reach that point total, but they're going to be every bit as interesting. Because we always seem to, let's start in Columbus. Nebraska comes in to play Ohio State on Saturday night. The crowd is going to be nuts, and I'm going to be there, so that part will be fun. This one is interesting because Ohio State and Nebraska are kind of mirror images. Good offenses, although Ohio State's probably still more based on promise than actual results yet. Defenses that haven't been have been shaky to not bad so far this season. You guys know where I'm going to go with this. The nighttime atmosphere in Columbus is insane. And Nebraska is going to lose this game. It'll be a tight one, similar to the Michigan State game last weekend. But Ohio State wins in Columbus on Saturday.
I totally agree with the fact that I think that it's definitely going to be a close game. I don't think. I mean, the numbers point to that. There's no way it can't be a close game. I really don't think. Nebraska, sloppy start last week for sure. Trailing big against Wisconsin, had to rally in the second half. Taylor Martinez, I mean, he didn't look good in the first half. He looked pretty good leading them back in that comeback. But it is kind of a telling sign when your starting quarterback is your team's leading rusher in a game. Ohio State coming off of that game against Michigan State, lots of energy. But this is the start of a really tough stretch for Nebraska. They have Ohio State this week, Northwestern, and Michigan State, all in consecutive weeks. And because of that, for the first time in the history of the Carla and Crappy show, I am going to agree with you. And I'm going to say that Ohio State pulls this out in the horseshoe on Saturday night.
Thank you for joining the Carla and Crappy show. We're going to stop right here. In fact, we're done.
Like
we're done for the season. That's it.
There should be bells and whistles going off or something at this point, right?
We've got 2 for Ohio State, which, of course, makes me happy. Next, we're going to go to State College, where Northwestern, the other 5-0 team in the Big Ten, is coming in to play the Nittany Lions. I've gotten to see Penn State play in the last 2 weeks. Had to see those games on television, and I tell you what, I've been impressed. Matt McGloin has been consistent. He's been accurate. There are good tailbacks there. There are good receivers there, and the defense that you'd expect from Penn State. Northwestern is for real, but I feel like the chip that the Nittany Lions have on their shoulders this week, plus homecoming, significant home field advantage. I think Penn State is going to win this one.
Wow. Did I hear that correctly? Can you say that one?
You did. You did.
One more time?
Penn State will win.
Penn State will win, and I'm actually kind of agreeing with your logic here. Okay. Everything on paper for me says Northwestern wins this football game. They're 5-0. They're nationally ranked. They've had a pretty good start to the season. They've been in battles. I mean, do we have to talk about Syracuse? I mean, what a crazy game that was.
Yes.
and they still won. But Northwestern notoriously can't get to 6-0, and this game would put them at 6-0 if they won that game. And so for the same reasons that you said, McGloin looking good, defense looking good. That game against Illinois last week, stellar.
Yeah.
That was an Ohio State, or I'm sorry, a Penn State that I wasn't sure we were going to see this year, to be honest with you. I mean, deep down inside, I'd hoped that, but you never know. I'm going with my gut. Homecoming, Beaver Stadium. I think State College still has some magic in them, and I think they end Northwestern's perfect season.
Okay. Let's head south. We've got a mess of top 25 on top 25 games, and this one, LSU at Florida. It should be. It may be a game that only fans of those two schools can love. Both of these teams have been a little puzzling so far to me. Florida. Frankly, Florida has seemed sort of out of sorts since Will Muschamp showed up in Gainesville. LSU's had one SEC game so far this year, and could only manage to put up 12 points against Auburn. I think this is going to be my theme for this week. Apparently, the home field advantage for Florida, two fairly evenly matched teams. I think the Gators are gonna pull out a win in an ugly game.
This isn't any fun anymore because I'm actually going to agree with you again.
Stop it!
I know what's going on with us. We went all those weeks without agreeing. Florida's coming off a bye week, and I don't think we can underestimate the importance of that in this game. LSU struggled last week against Towson. And Les Miles and the whole Bayou crew have really come under fire this week for their lackluster effort against lowly Towson. Driscoll for Florida has been tested. He played well against Tennessee. Again, slow start, second half, unbelievable. LSU has not been tested. They haven't really played anybody other than Auburn. And normally that's a big game, but this year we're still not sure how big what sure. Auburn really is. Sure. I think you're right. I think the swamp and all those, Florida's got a little bit of metal behind them. If Florida is for real, they win this game.
Okay. The doubters after watching WVU and Baylor last weekend said, wait till West Virginia plays a real Big 12 school. Wait till they go on the road. Wait till they play a team with some defense. They are going on the road. They're playing a real Big 10 school in Texas. I'm not sure that they're playing a team that has a real solid defense yet. And I think for that reason, West Virginia is going to silence the doubters at least for one more week and win on the road in Austin.
This is a put up or shut up game for Texas. They like to talk a big talk about, this is the year. If Texas doesn't win this game, Mac Brown will find himself on the hot seat again. Yes. Which seems to be an annual occurrence down there. But this really is a do or die situation for Texas. Geno Smith last week, unbelievable. What a ridiculous game that was. But you're right. Texas they've struggled in tackling. Mm-hmm. Every single preview that I looked at for this week mentioned that Texas's tackling issues could potentially, this game is essentially defense optional because West Virginia has allowed a lot of points. Mm-hmm. Malcolm Brown for Texas is out with an injury. That's their second leading rusher. Yes, it's the backup guy, but still. I don't know. I think the Mountaineers keep hunting. I think you're right on this one. I think West Virginia beats Longhorns. Okay. And surprises everybody. And now all of a sudden the biggest game on the Big 12 calendar. Raise your hand if you had this at the beginning of the year. Kansas State and West Virginia.
Wouldn't have guessed that. No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. To stay in the southern half of the country, we have Georgia at South Carolina. This one is pretty simple for me. That gagging noise you hear is Mark Richt getting ready for a big SEC game. He's not going to. The Bulldogs have looked pretty good so far this season. They've been in a couple scoring battles. They're not going to win going into Columbia. Steve Spurrier and the Gamecocks. Go Cox! are going to win that one on Saturday.
Let's not agree for once.
Okay.
Michael Bennett went down with an injury. That's Georgia's top leading wide receiver. He's done
Yes.
for the year with an ACL. That's huge. So everybody, I was listening to Sirius radio on the way home, and my good buddy Chris Childers, and it seemed like everybody was kind of doubting the Bulldogs in this game. You know, Michael Bennett's gone. What are they going to do? Well, last time I checked, they still have Todd Gurley. They still have Aaron Murray. Yeah, they're going to have to go up against a tough test in South Carolina, but I think the doubters this week are going to kind of fuel Georgia, and I think somehow, some way, the Bulldogs are going to find a way to get that game done, and they're going to, unfortunately, send the old ball coach to his babbling ways.
Mark Richt. Let's squeeze in one more game because we are taping this earlier than we have in previous weeks. We get the chance to talk about a Thursday night football game, and fortunately this week there is one to talk about. I wouldn't have guessed this one would be an interesting game in any stretch if we were talking about it at the beginning of the season. But Southern Cal going to Utah on Thursday night. I really want to pick an upset here. I really, really do. Southern Cal has looked tremendous until they played on the road at Stanford. I want to pick an upset, but I can't. I think Southern Cal's just the accumulative power both sides of the ball, and plus the notion that they're going to want to come back and reestablish some of the Trojan mystique after losing at Stanford. I think Southern Cal will win this game on Thursday.
Yeah, we go through this every year with USC, don't we? That we get to this point and we're like, oh, well, this is a game that they should win big and they're going to lose. It's not happening this year. I don't see it happening. I don't see Matt Barkley letting it happen. Potentially, I even see this as getting out of hand in the second half. If Utah doesn't show up in the first half, I think if the Trojans get the opportunity, they're just going to dominate this game. So, yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think USC wins this game and wins this game convincingly, and gets themselves back into the national title discussion.
Okay. Carla, thank you once again, and thank you guys for joining us for week 4 of the Carla and Crappy Show. We hope you've enjoyed your cupcakes. Now we can get to the meat and potatoes for the rest of the fall. Say good night, Carla.
With frosting. Good night.